A very good afternoon, Team Zimbabwe. Maswera say. Welcome to Africa and Beyond Television Network. And this evening, we need to take a look on CCC versus Shavangu court case. And we want to answer the question: are the by-elections going to proceed or not? It's very important for us to focus on that and deal with that aspect as it is. So remember, the CCC MPs were in court and they did well. The lawyers submitted sound arguments in the court of law, and they were actually asking or questioning the legal standing of Shavangu to recall party MPs. And I'm going to give you a brief summary of those facts. Fact number one is that Sengezo Shavangu is saying he is the interim Secretary General. If we are to give him the benefit of doubt, what it means is that his duty is administrative. He must execute what comes from the party. So we have the National Executive Council, we have the leaders or the presidium, we have the directors, we have the people who are running the organization called CCC. If Sengezo Shavangu is saying he is part of them, then decisions should be made by everyone. All people within CCC must sit and make decisions. After they've made decisions, the president acts as the approver or the endorser of everything. So without the endorsement of President Nelson Chamisa, Shavangu, even if he was the authoritative SG, he was not going to have that power to have a resolution to recall the MPs. That is a fact. So the lawyers were so direct in dealing with all those issues, and they exposed the insincerity of Shavangu and everyone else involved, which means if the High Court judge, Mr. Mnawato Mtedzi, is to give an order which will uphold the recalls, it means that will be the death of the opposition or the multi-party democracy. That will be the death of opposition politics in Zimbabwe, not because of inefficiency of the opposition, but a complete dismissal by the court systems and the regime. So how things should happen should be simple. The president, who is Advocate Nelson Chamisa, does not recognize the recalls. Reasons why he does not recognize the recalls are that, number one, Shavangu is not part of CCC. But more importantly, the party didn't fire the MPs in question. If Shavangu says they were fired, he must prove before the court how were these MPs fired? Who fired them? Which disciplinary committee did they go through? All those issues must be addressed first. So without addressing such fundamental factors, it shows that these MPs never ceased to be MPs, members of CCC, because for one to cease to be a member of a political party, it's through expulsion or a resignation, voluntary resignation. The MPs didn't resign. There is no evidence whatsoever from Shavangu to suggest that these MPs resigned. There is no evidence whatsoever from Shavangu to suggest that the party fired these MPs from CCC, because there are no letters, there is no resolution to effect that. Let us move forward. So you will see that whatever method they are going to use, one day, one way or the other, it will backfire. This is a clear criminal activity being played here. There is no court which was supposed to entertain this criminal activity. The court was not supposed to do that. Remember, this matter was reported to the police by CCC, the party, as a criminal act, which means the court was supposed to take into consideration that police report. The police would have acted also on Chavangu to say, you were reported, there's an RRB number, you have a case to answer, and you're supposed to present him to court and put himself to defense. That didn't happen. So you will see that based on these few things I have touched, there are so many things to touch, but I've just touched two key issues, which clearly shows that Chavangu does not have locus standi to recall the MPs. It does not have the mandate or the power to recall the MPs. You cannot go against the leader of your party. So there are processes, as I said in other episodes, that if Chavangu was to challenge anything within CCC, he was supposed to take CCC to court. It was not supposed to be the other way around. So Chavangu, whoever is entertaining him, is being part of the criminal cartel and the criminal enterprise which is happening. And all these actions are criminal actions or activities happening. So you see that the judgment was reserved. That is the strategy right now. Remember, after the arguments are submitted from both parties, there is another strategic portfolio which will sit elsewhere to analyze all arguments which were submitted. After making analysis, they will then sit down and say, can we pass this judgment? Where can we adjust? They will try to find loopholes to accommodate the by-elections, to make sure that the by-elections go forward. Another issue will be the court will certainly delay to give the judgment and give it after the 7th. What it means is that if they are to take that route, what it means is they will say this matter has been overtaken with events, which means the nomination court has sat down and they'll say this issue has been overtaken with events, even if the judgment will be to reverse the recall. It will be an issue of saying, okay, these MPs are still CCC members and Chavangu has failed to prove, but since proclamation has been done, since all these processes have been done, we cannot go back. Let us just proceed to the by-elections. That will be the argument. They already set a precedence used by Lucia Matibenga and Chavangu and others, and recalls were made. They won the case in court, but they went to the by-elections. The proclamation included those seats of PDP, which means a precedent was set before. So there is a great possibility that they will use the same to actually proceed with these by-elections. So they are trying by all means possible to say, let this judgment come after the nomination court is set, so that they use that precedent. But if they are pressured, if they are to release the judgment before the 7th, what I feel is that it is going to be very difficult for for the judge to reverse what has happened. Remember, President Mnangagwa was not supposed to rush to make a proclamation when he knew very well that the leader of CCC was not in agreement with these recalls. The CCC party itself was not in agreement with these recalls. So what was supposed to happen was that the president was supposed to delay the proclamation up until this matter was resolved, because it was before the court. So what has happened is that the president went on to proclaim the by-elections, which means also the same precedents can be used right now. Even if the judgment is to come, the judgment might not touch anything about the recalls, but might touch the fact that Chavangu is not a member of CCC, and they will end there. They will simply say these people were not fired from CCC, and they'll end there. So it's a circus, Team Zimbabwe. It is what it is. But what ZANU-PF is trying to achieve is to have 2/3 majority. So it is going to be a very interesting moment this time around, because once you see the court saying we have reserved judgment, then know that trouble is following. There is a great possibility could the verdict to come from elsewhere, and someone will simply come to announce. So this is how I view all these things, Team Zimbabwe. But thumbs up to the lawyers who were representing CCC. They did a very wonderful job. They represented the team well. And personally, I believe that any reasonable judge, any reasonable adjudicator would reverse everything, would nullify everything which has happened in the interest of justice, in the interest of national development, in the interest of peace in the nation of Zimbabwe. But those are really, if those in leadership, if the appointing authorities are after something, who in a captured state will go against them? So, amen. Agaiti mbono zvinosvika papi.